It's the Great Depression. The moment when the strongest economy in the world suddenly started falling apart. You wake up one morning and everything you believed about money is different. You check your savings and the money you spent years building is gone. You walk outside and the factory that gave you a job is silent. The streets are filled with people searching for work. Banks are closing. Businesses are disappearing. And everywhere you look, people are asking the same question. How did this happen? How did the richest and most powerful economy on Earth collapse so quickly? This was not just a financial crisis.
This was a disaster that changed millions of lives. A disaster that showed the world one terrifying truth. Even the strongest systems can break. This is the story of the Great Depression.
But what makes this story even more shocking is that the disaster did not begin in a world of poverty. It began during one of the most exciting periods in modern history, the 1920s, a time when America looked unstoppable. After the First World War ended in 1918, the United States entered a period of explosive growth. Factories expanded,
Cities grew. New inventions transformed everyday life. Cars became common. Radios connected millions of homes. Electricity entered people's lives. For many people, it felt like the future had arrived. This era became known as the Roaring Twenties, a decade of wealth, entertainment, and optimism. People believed they were living at the beginning of a new golden age. But beneath the excitement, a dangerous weakness was growing.
The first problem was production. Factories had become incredibly efficient. They could produce more goods than ever before. More cars, more appliances, more products. But there was one major issue. Not everyone had enough money to buy them. Companies were producing faster than customers could purchase. This created something economists call overproduction. Too many products chasing too few buyers. At first, nobody worried. Businesses were making profits, stock prices were rising. Everyone thought the economy would continue growing forever, but the foundation was becoming unstable. At the same time, something else was happening. Ordinary people started entering the stock market. Not just wealthy investors, everyone. Workers, teachers, shop owners, families. People saw their neighbors making money from stocks, and they wanted to join. But many were not buying stocks because they understood the companies. They were buying because they believed prices could never fall. This was speculation, and speculation created a dangerous bubble. Many investors bought stocks using something called margin. This meant you could borrow money to buy shares. For example, you could buy $10,000 worth of stock while only paying $1,000 yourself. As long as prices increased, you could make huge profits. It seemed like an easy path to wealth, but there was a hidden danger. If prices dropped, the borrowed money still had to be repaid. The entire system depended on one belief: the market would always go up. By 1929, the stock market had become almost like a national obsession. People talked about stocks everywhere. Newspapers celebrated investors. Stories spread about ordinary people becoming rich overnight. The excitement became so powerful that many ignored warning signs. Some economists warned that stock prices were too high. Companies were not worth as much as their stock prices suggest. The market was becoming disconnected from reality. But when everyone is making money, warnings are easy to ignore. Then came October 1929. The mood started changing. Some investors became nervous. They started selling. Others saw the selling and became afraid. Then panic began. On October 24th, 1929, a day remembered as Black Thursday, millions of shares were sold. Banks and financial leaders tried to stop the fear, but confidence was already damaged. 5 days later, October 29th, Black Tuesday, the stock market collapsed. Millions of shares flooded the market. Prices crashed. Fortunes disappeared. People who believed they were wealthy suddenly had nothing. Governments struggled to respond. Many leaders believed the economy would fix itself, but the collapse was too severe. But the stock market crash was only the beginning. The bigger problem was the banking system. During the 1920s, banks had taken risks. They had given loans. They had invested money, and when the stock market collapsed, people became terrified. They rushed to withdraw their savings. This is called a bank run. Thousands of people would stand outside banks, waiting to get their money. But banks did not keep every dollar inside. They had lent money to others. So when everyone demanded cash at the same time, many banks could not survive. Thousands of banks failed. Millions of people lost their savings. Money they trusted simply vanished.
And when banks collapsed, businesses suffered. Companies could not get loans. Factories reduced production. Workers were fired. The economy entered a downward spiral. Less spending, less production, more unemployment, more fear. By 1933, around 25% of American workers were unemployed. Millions searched for jobs, but there were not enough jobs to find. People stood in bread lines. Families lost homes. A person could go from comfort to survival in a matter of months. Farmers also faced disaster. During World War I, farmers had increased production to meet global demand. But after the war, demand fell. Crop prices collapsed. Many farmers could not repay their debts. Then another disaster arrived, the Dust Bowl. Severe drought and poor farming methods created massive dust storms. Huge areas of farmland became almost unusable. Thousands of families abandoned their homes. They traveled across the country, searching for work. The crisis did not stay inside America. The world economy was connected. European countries depended on American loans. Germany, especially, relied on foreign money after World War I. When American banks stopped lending, other economies started collapsing. Factories closed. International trade slowed. The Great Depression became a global disaster. People needed jobs. Banks needed stability. Businesses needed confidence. The world faced a new question. Should governments stay out of the economy or should they step in? In 1933, a major turning point arrived. Franklin D. Roosevelt became President of the United States. He introduced the New Deal, a series of programs designed to provide relief and rebuild confidence. The government created jobs, built infrastructure, regulated banks, and introduced new protections for ordinary citizens. The goal was simple: restore trust. Because without trust, the economy could not recover. The recovery was slow. The Great Depression did not disappear overnight, but eventually, factories started producing again. People returned to work. Confidence slowly returned. And another major event accelerated recovery: World War II. As countries prepared for war, industrial production exploded. Factories reopened. Millions found employment. The economy entered a new era. The Great Depression changed the world forever. It changed banking. It changed government policy. It changed how people viewed investing. And it left behind one of history's greatest lessons. An economy is not only built on money, it is built on belief. People believing businesses will survive. Banks believing loans will be repaid. Consumers believing tomorrow will be better. Because once confidence disappears, even the strongest systems can collapse. The Great Depression was not just a story about markets. It was a story about human behavior, fear, hope, and the power of belief. Because sometimes the biggest disasters do not begin with something you can see. They begin when an entire world loses confidence.